Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Card Craft again. Thanks so much for joining me. What I wanted to do today is some clusters. Now, I don't know if you're like me and you save everything from the smallest little bits to larger bits that you know you're going to use, but those smaller bits that you go, oh, I just can't throw it out. For me, it's usually parts of stamped images where I've stamped something and got a little bit left over, like these sorts of things. I have a little jar, like so, on my desk, and all my little bits tend to go in there. Some of them are pulled out from paper pads, you know, where you get your tags and things at the back. Some of them are literally tiny little pieces of lace, and I'm hopeless. I cannot throw them away. I used to be able to. Since I've been junk journaling, I can't throw them away, and it's just overtaken everything. But I have a little jar, just a little glass jar with bits and pieces in it, and then every now and again I will end up with a pile beside me of other tags and tabs that I've pulled out of paper pads where I've been thinking about them, and then they don't work with the page that I'm doing, or I'll go off into a different tangent, which is me all over, and they just get pushed to the side. So every now and again when I do a cleanup, if I've got big bits, I'll do tags and journal cards and things like that, and that's how I clean my desk. Not that you'd ever know it was cleaned. When I've got a full jar like this of all my little bits, I'll make clusters. Now, sometimes I'll make clusters for the actual journal that I'm working with. Other times it's just handy to have a container beside you full of bits and bobs, of things ready to do that you can just, when you're working on a journal page or whatever else, they're just sitting there, and I'll go through them, and occasionally I strike it lucky and I've got something in there that just fits this journal to perfection. Other times they just go in there and they get added to, but it never seems to overflow because I use them just as much as I make them. So same with my clusters, and I'll make up some clusters and they go into another little container, and they're handy just to pull out. So I thought that's what we'd do today, is we'd go through my little jar, some of my larger bits, all my sections that are sitting here, and make up some clusters. Now, as I said before, I tend to, the old paper pads, especially the Kaisercraft paper pads, and there are other brands out there. I'm not saying Kaiser are the only ones that do it. They have, here we go. They have sheets at the back of their paper pads that have got tags and tabs and stuff like that on it. Now, occasionally I'll find ones in these that work in a journal that I'm working on, and there are others that I know I wouldn't use in a pink fit. So I tend to use those as my base for my clusters, and they work really well. So I've got a pile of them here. Whenever I'm getting towards the end of a paper pad, I'll pull out the remaining tags and tabs. Some of them will work on the top of my clusters. Others, see, that's pretty, but it's not me. So I will use that as a base for a cluster. So let's work on that one to start with then, since we've picked him up. General rule of thumb, I can't help it, I have to ink. So I'll ink around the edge. If you're really pedantic, you can get rid of the little, I don't know if you can see that, they have just little bits sticking out where they've been attached to the paper pad. It's up to you if you want to trim around all of those, but mine end up so messy that I don't really worry about it that much. So I'm just giving this I gave it a darker edge. I'm just using my walnut stain. And now I'm just going a little bit further in just to darken up the rest of the tag, tab, oval. Let's call it an oval. So just very lightly, a little bit of walnut stain that's still left on my foam. If you've got a newer ink, it's going to come out a lot more, so just be careful when you're inking to know your inks and how old they are. Some of mine, you know, when they die finally, and I've been using them forever, and I'll finally get a new one, and I invariably make something very, very dark because I've forgotten just how juicy they are when they're new. Right, so I've changed him and darkened him right up and vintaged him. Pop my lid back on that, and it's just a matter of playing with the bits that you've got. So I'll give myself some space down here. It is soft and all the rest, and the flowers are all soft, and now that I've darkened it, it's more me anyway. But with my little jar of bits, and I mean I have bits, it's a matter of just playing with all your bits. They're a great way to, I've got some lovely little, see now these are in a paper pad. So it's just a matter of layering, working out what you want with all your bits and pieces. And then I ink. I give myself a vague idea of what it is that I want to do. He might look better darker because everything else is darker. And we'll have a look. Just want to really rough that up. Give him some tone. So now he's a better colour in there. Okay. You can go as much or as little as you like on them. They're just a great way to clean up your space. As I said, my space just gets worse and worse and worse. And then when it gets to the point where my little jar's overflowing, I will sit down, and if it's this little jar, I'll do up some clusters to put aside. If it's my bigger containers, I will then do up... I've got... Let's just see if we can take that music bit off that. And then I'll just clean up, be it either the journal tags or pockets on top of pockets, or with these ones, little clusters, so that one, I've cleaned my desk and got rid of everything and got rid of my little jar and all the rest. And two, I've made myself some clusters ready to use for next time. See, I don't want my little postmark on there now that I've put my music thing. So let's have a look and see what else is in here. See, and I mean, there's all sorts of bits and pieces. And, you know, why would I have kept that? Here's some watercolour bits that I was playing around with. Something music-y. So they're just... They're just so much fun. It's handy to have all these things sitting there ready to use. So today is meant to be all about not actually thinking and just doing. I'm going to start sticking some of these down, and then because otherwise you tend to have too many options. So that one can be stuck down. That one's just going to be stuck down. Just want to make him a little bit more worn, I suppose would be the best way to do him. Use some glue. Oh, that's after yesterday's. Check he's going. And he was round about there. There's no great rhyme nor reason to it. Right, that's that one. A little bit of blue glue. Well, that worked well. I've put my glue on that side, so we better just ink. And we'll now use the other side. It's just a matter of turning it over. No great problem. Don't fret, there are no mistakes. It's just something else waiting to happen. But go back there, glue that side now. And we'll stick this one down. So that what I'm doing is I've still got this base that we're using, and you'll still see little bits of colour on it, but there won't be a great deal. So, as I said, for me, it's not something that I know that I would use, but I want to use up all my paper pads, all my little bits and pieces. Just because it's got nothing in there that I would use doesn't mean that I can't change it to something else. So let's stick that one down. And again, I'm just using my blue glue. And now this is just a serviette that's been stamped. So it's just the backing of a serviette. So you know those back layers that you get? It's just those. I like to stamp on them when they don't stick to my fingers. Like so. That's got him. And then I've got other serviettes. And I love the look of the backing of the serviettes because you can still see through them. Now that one, I still want a little music something down there. So I'm just going to set him aside until I can find, in amongst everything, a little music thing. Otherwise, I will pull out a stamp and get something down there. So I just set him aside and we'll go to another one. All right, so I know that I would probably use. So we're just going to leave him for a little while. Some of these I know I would never use. Memory is a way of holding on to the things you love, the things you are, the things you never want to lose. That's a nice saying, but colour-wise, it's not going to work for me. So again, if I turn it over and use it as my cluster, that way, I'll darken this up. Then I could attach it with a paper clip so that then I can use both sides. So I'm just going to, I'll go around my edges, darken it up. And, oh, I can still keep kind of the colours without going too full into them. So I'm just going to darken this guy up. I can still just see my wording. Now, this side, because it is very white, so I'm using the antique linen now, and I'm just going over to take that starkness. But that's just me. Most of my journals tend to be in vintagey colours, so your creams and your antique colours and all the rest. So for me, if I've got something like these that are pure white on the other side, first thing I do is I'll put antique linen on them just to take that white so you can see the difference in the colour. Now, I could tea dye those and just tea dye the front, just splash a bit of tea dye across the front. That'll work as well. With smaller bits like this, I tend to be a little bit too impatient and I want it then and there. So I can't be bothered waiting for it to dry or to get my heat gun to dry it or anything else. Got a little bit of ink on my fingers, so I'm just making sure that that's even. So you can see I've put some fingerprints in here. So I'm just going across the rest just to put more fingerprints across, which will grub it right up. Okay, so we've got this one. Now, I've got a little piece of lace ribbon, which actually fits that beautifully. So let's say I want this as a paper clip one. Just hang on, we'll grab a paper clip out because I think I cleaned my desk and took all my paper clips off. I'll grab a bigger paper clip, maybe. Let's have a look. Undo. You might be too big. We'll grab something that's like a bit smaller. We'll go to the standard size. Right, I've got different sizes in here. Right, that one. So if this guy ended up being a paperclip holder, and I'm going to sit him in there, but I want it so that I can take it out and read that tab. But if I do it from down this way, it'll slide on like that, won't it? Let's just grab a page and double check. Right. That would fit down there like that. That side, isn't it? Because I don't want to see the blue. But he would work up there beautifully. Then I could slide him out and I've got that. If I use him just as a paper clip that I can tuck up like that. So I don't want too much sitting on that side. So I want a little bit of ribbon. I want something to cover that. Let's have a look in this container of containers again. We'll put, I'll go that one. I love all my book page, and this one's so old. Look at it crinkle. It's just beautiful. Just as a background. Oh, just falls apart in your fingers, this one. It is a beautiful, beautiful book page. Some of the old ones are just superb, aren't they? Right, so I'll just give him an edge very lightly because I don't want to break my paper anymore. So he's only, you can see I've only just lightly, so if I bring him up, see it like that, you can't really see it. See how when I sit him on, it's just got that little edge to it. Sorry, I'll bring it back down because my eyes need to see it. We'll just very lightly scratch over the surface without going too far in. All right, so let's have a look and see what little bits I've got, you know, little dictionary sayings floating around as well. That one's a bit long for him. Let's have a look. Again, another little piece of serviette. I might just put him on that, I think. So, let's see if we can... This one's an actual serviette. I haven't stamped or anything on this one. Just very lightly, because I've got to try and straighten him out. Where is he? There he is. Let's go that way. Beautiful. So he's down like that. But you'll give that piece there. I want that little bit in here. I want everything. That's my problem. I want a little flower that I can change the colour of. Beside me also I have a box of flowers. So we'll just see if I can find a light. I think I've got whites in here somewhere. Whites or creams, either or. Oh, do have some skeleton leaves. Wonder if I've got any smaller ones. They all look large, don't they? All right, so as you were, here we go. Rare leaves, whites. No, can't cream them. I should have, somewhere in here, I should actually have a pile of creamy coloured ones. Let's have a look at those ones. Undo that. Single, and I'll just grab that brushed corduroy this time. And again, I just very lightly. Now these are just little paper flowers you find for a dime a dozen type thing. That, you know, they had their heyday years ago, but let's face it, we've all still got them sitting around. So use them. They're not doing you any good sitting in your cupboard or in boxes like mine are. I've got so many little paper flowers. And these days I tend to, if I want flowers, I will die cut them with my die cutting machines. And these guys get left in there each time. So my New Year's resolution, start using up all these little flowers. That's going to sit in here like that. That's going to sit in here like that. I want a little bit of colour coming through from there, but without going too full-on colour. As I haven't got any of my other inks over here, I'm determined to use what I've got sitting here. So let's have a look. It's got a little bit of blue. I sit you in there just so that I can tab that out. This and that. See, I'm liking that cluster. Maybe if I go that way though, because it does have that in there. No, because it puts it on the side and I lose that blue, don't I? All right, let's go the way we were originally. Just ink around the side. Oh, I didn't look at the clock to see what time I started. I think it's only been about 20 minutes. I doubt it. Time just disappears with me when I'm doing this. I can sit down and think, yep, I've been 10 minutes, and then I realise I've been about 40. So we'll start sticking some of these guys down. I don't know if you can see that. I'm hoping I'm still in shot. Right. Bang, sorry. It's around about there. There's no rhyme nor reason to where it's actually going. I just want to use them. So, back with our old book page, but I'll be careful going on with my glue with that one because it is so fragile. It'll tear before I know it. There's my cloth, just to stop too much coming out. Right, I know my flower's going to go here. What I haven't worked out is how I'm actually going to put on my ribbon. I wonder if I can tie a bow. That's a rather small bow, isn't it? Might help if it was ironed, but I like it when it's not ironed, and I like that crumpled look. Nope. Try again. I'll give it 2 shots, and if I can't do it in 2 shots because it's so small, my fingers don't work wonderfully well, we might give up on it. Almost there. Oh, look, 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 look. There it is. There it is. There it is. Lost my other side. Maybe I just tighten a knot. What do you reckon? So if I tie it in a loose double knot, that'll still give that thickness and it'll have them still coming out. As I said, if it fails, just go on to something else. Rework what it was you were going to do. There is no right or wrong way. Oh, look, it looks like a scarf. Because what I want is I just really want it to hang down like that. Okay, so that'll work. Go back on. This is just a Helmar 450 glue. It's a bit like a hot glue gun, but it's not hot, of course. But it's stringy like that. It doesn't take that long to set. Puts you straight over all of that. Doesn't set quite as quick as a hot glue gun. That's the only problem. But I've got no spare power points at my desk, so when I use my hot glue gun, it has to be done in another room. And that one will go in there. Do I want a bit of bling on that flower? Well, let's have a look. Maybe a pearl. Oh, see the string? Right. Pull all those stringy bits away. Move you over there. Oh, it's everywhere, sorry. To darken up. My fingerprints didn't quite do it, so I'm just going to darken those edges again, but I'm going back with the brushed corduroy now so that I'm really grunging it back up. How's that? For me, that's just a bit of look, but you know, it's personal preference what you want to do. And we want to look at bling. Now, do I have little pearl? I'm going to be too pearly. Let's have a look. You're a bit darker. Yeah, those ones are a little bit darker. Now, I've had these sitting around for ages, so they're probably not going to stick as much anymore. Just go that size. So what I'm going to do is pop a little bit of that glue in there again, just to make sure that they actually stick. Ugh. And it was that size, wasn't it? Never get these off. Where's my knife? Just my craft knife. And it means that I can pick it up, sit it on my craft knife, sit it down on my flower, put my finger on it and pull my knife out from under it. And it's easier than trying to get my fingers. There we go. How's that? And it still means, if I get that journal back over, let's have a look. Where was that? There it is. That. So I can still put it, oh, I like that in there actually. Might keep that in there. So he will still sit in there. I can still pull it out. I can still read the verse on the other side. And I've used up some of my stash. So we'll set that one to the side as well. And we'll do one more quick one. And it's a good way to while away your afternoon or whatever else. Let's do a male-ified one. A male one. Masculine one. How's that? Let's do a masculine one. Right, so we'll pop the pearls back. We'll move all these over. And I'll pull out some of these little bits. So we don't want little pretty feminine envelopes. This one and this one and this one will all work. That one won't. Those ones would work. That one would work. That one. That one. That one. I've got back in my little jar of tricks. I had I've got all sorts in here. I had a lovely, there it is. Look at that for an embossed handmade paper. See, all of those sorts of things will go really well. So let's have a look. They're all male. All male. Let's just start with that one. We will straighten it, of course. See if it's too small to go in there. It was beautiful cutting to start with. Right, that should be round about straight. Right. So I've still got a little bit of white there, but if I ink around it, I will lose that white. So let's do a long cluster this time. My challenge to myself is no lace, no ribbon. I don't do male that often. And it becomes, when you get used to always doing feminine and pretty and laces and linens and all of that, it gets very hard to then change your mindset into something else. So every now and again, it's good to challenge yourself and come up with something different. So, right. So I've got still in my antique-y colours on the back, because I can't help myself. But as I said, it's personal preference. It's up to you what you want to do. There is no right or wrong. It's a matter of playing. Let's put some lids back on some of these. There should be an antique linen. There it is. Right, so that's going to be my back. This is going to be the front. I could do some hang down ones. I love these. These are a stamp, or part of a stamp. They've been done with, that grey is, it's an archival ink, and that's it. Watering can it's called, but it's just so soft and lovely. So I could make this a little bit larger. And you can see they're just bits where I've chopped them off and all the rest. So that bit's going to just sit in there. As I said, it'll change as I go, because it always does. Give him a bit of, actually, we might go brushed corduroy. Keep with those browns. So just brush over him a little bit. See, and I haven't used that one at all yet. So let's have a look. No niceties, Kylie. No pretties, no bits and pieces. That's actually cardstock. I don't know what I've got that from. Got it from something, unless I've stuck it on some cardstock. I may have. Let's just ink. Yeah, I reckon I've stuck something onto some cardstock with that. And what I actually want to do... Oh, so I'm just going to rough it up now with an edge distresser. You can use your scissors. I'll do the one side. Have a look. With your scissors, open them out. Don't cut yourself. And you're just going to pull it along, which will distress all your edges. So I've now got a torn piece on the bottom, and I've got all these edged ones. We'll make lots of fluff. Don't wear black. And then I'm just going to rough my blending tool down across it, which keeps it all distressed and out without flattening it again. So now what I've got is that. Can you see that? Okay. So I'm going to move this along just a little bit. Sit you there. Right. You're going in first. I'm going to actually stick you down. I don't want that bottom piece. So we'll glue. I'm using a slightly heavier in my white glue this time instead of my glue stick, because it is on cardstock, so I want it to have a little bit more oomph. So I'll put you there like that. Trying to push dead smack in the middle and not on my sides that have been distressed or roughened up, so that we've got him like that. There's no glue coming out from this side. And now I'll try and remember what I had down here. So this one is going to sit in here, and I can just go back, straight back to my glue stick. No, going to have to use my little scrap book. Now this is just a handmade paper that I had floating around that I used in another journal or something like that. I think it was my stamped journal I used it in. And it's just so pretty and hand embossed and everything else. I want you up that way. I want you down that way. So, ink around that bit. Now you can see my stamp hasn't gone all the way to the edge, but let's just play and make that slightly darker so that it looks like a feature anyway. because as I said, it was just a stamp offcut. Right. I'm going to sit up there, so it's going to go from about there down. That's going to be a bit rough. Flatten that side. Like so. Glue stick again. And I've just got it on that bottom section. And he's going to sit up there. Push him down, make sure I haven't got my glue above it. It'll dry and it'll dry clear, but it means that if I've got my glue above it, what'll happen is I'll inadvertently sit it down on something and find that I've got a bigger cluster than I thought I did because it's now attached to everything. Right. I want that one to hang down there. So I'm going to about the bottom of that bar. Bring you back over. Just like so. And down in here. Okay. Thinking. So I wasn't going to use any ribbon or lace or anything like that, was I? Put it away, Kylie. Put it away. I had just a dictionary meaning. You can't go past them, really, can you? How's that? So, again, it's stark white, so I'll put some antique linen on it. Just roughly. I don't necessarily want it to be a solid colour. I like them to be a little bit in and out, variegated. So can you see how it's not quite a solid colour now all the way across? A little bit of walnut stain going around again as well, just to highlight my edges. Down there. And back to my book, find something that's not too gluey. Lifting that up, moving that out of the way. And that'll go in there. So there's my male cluster. So let's put some of those back on. Put them on the right lids. It's like the walnut shells, you know, when you move the walnut shells and you see which one's got the P under it. My inks are sometimes like that. Right, clear some space. That's still my favourite. That one I want to pop a stamp onto. That one, I'm still, let's have a look. Whoop, wrong one. What I might do is just take off a corner just to give it a little bit of difference. Sorry, excuse me. Yep. All right, I will find a stamp of some sort. Excuse me just for a moment. Oh, got a tickle and I haven't got a glass of water here. I will find a stamped music image of some sort and pop on that one. And then I'll take the photo for the header of the video. And I'm going to continue on these for the rest of the day now and completely clear this. So you might see a few more as the picture for the tutorial as well. I'll just sit here and play. Thank you for joining me. It's great fun. I love talking to you all. I hope you don't mind me rambling on sometimes. If you do like it, please hit subscribe and like. And until next time, happy crafting. Thanks, guys.